Tomorrow night, the 2025 NFL Draft will officially open in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And a big question on everybody's mind is, how many quarterbacks are going to go on night one of the NFL Draft this year? Well, today, I'm going to be breaking down my final 2025 quarterback prospect rankings for you guys today. And I'm going to let you guys know my grades on all the top quarterbacks in this class, getting you guys ready draft tomorrow. Yesterday, I put out my full final mock draft, all 32 picks in round one, where I actually have 4 quarterbacks coming off the board on night one. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And then later today, Tom Downey, the other NFL draft analyst here at Chat Sports, is going to be revealing his final mock draft. And of course, Tom and I will be live tomorrow, a couple hours before the NFL Draft begins in Green Bay for our extensive coverage of night one of the 2025 NFL Draft. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button to never miss any of our live draft week coverage. We're going to be live for all 7 rounds and every single pick. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button for the most extensive, in-depth draft content anywhere on YouTube over this weekend. So let's start here with my 10 through 6 picks here. And we won't go into too much detail on these guys because I want to spend more time talking about my top 5. But Max Brosmer out of Minnesota, I have a late day 3 grade on him, and he is my number 10 overall quarterback in this class. Quick release, not the strongest arm in the world, pretty intelligent, a good pre-snap processor, but at the end of the day, probably bottoms out, or his ceiling is probably more as a true backup in the National Football League. Will Howard, number 9 quarterback out of Ohio State, I have a midday 3 grade on him. He's got some good arm strength, and he has some flash plays on his film. He's a decent runner as well that can run with some power, but lots of spray throws to every level of the field. And if you're playing with the kind of help that he had at Ohio State, and you look, as incompetent, frankly, at times last year at Ohio State as he did, you have to wonder just how good he's going to be in the National Football League. Number 8, I have Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel, and Gabriel has a terrible combination of traits where he's the same size as Kyler Murray almost, and then he's got Tua Tagovailoa's arm strength. So not a very strong arm and not a very big body, and those are 2 traits that are very, very difficult to overcome at the NFL level, but good footwork, good throwing mechanics. He's very proficient in the RPO passing game, and he's very accurate to all levels of the field. I think he's going to be a pretty decent backup, and I would take him in midday 3. Then Quinn Ewers is my number 7 quarterback in this class, and Quinn has some of the highest highs on his film in college than any other quarterback in this class, particularly early on in his Texas career. That first half that he had in 2022 versus the Alabama Crimson Tide was like number 1 overall pick level of play. But this past season at Texas dealt with injuries, lots of inconsistencies. The ball flight was really inconsistent, a lot of wobblers on his film as well, and just not a great feel for the game at this point in his career, in my opinion. But he does have some high-end arm talent that I think a team is going to invest in early day 3 pick on. Kyle McCord is my number 6 quarterback out of Syracuse. Sees the game like an NFL quarterback, good pre-snap processor. I think that with McCord, he can throw with some anticipation. And I think that, he does put his eyes in the right place, I think is the right way to put it. But I think he has a longer release that's going to lead to a fumble issue, in my opinion, in the league. Also, he's not a special athlete or playmaker or anything like that. And I do think he throws too many interceptions and predetermines his reads too often. So those are my 10 through 6 quarterbacks here. And coming up, I've got my top 5 quarterbacks where I'm going to go in depth on all of the top 5 quarterbacks in this year's class. And I think number 2 on my quarterbacks list and number 5 might shock some people out there. So before we get into my top 5 QBs in this year's class, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more than or less than on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And guys, Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. The app is is really easy to use, and to create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more than or less than on a few player stats for your shot to win 2,000 times your money. You can also turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series, and every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you into the Takes Two ticket sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1, a VIP trip to the championship. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Again, guys, all you have to do is pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, pick more than or less than, and if you get them all right, or if you do a flex play, you get most of them right, you are going to be walking away with some cash from our friends at Prize Picks today. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks, run your game. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit here, guys, where I kind of went 10 through 6 when it came to that half of this top 10 list. I actually am going to go from 1 to 5 when breaking down my top 5 quarterbacks in this year's quarterback draft class. So we'll take a look at my number 1 quarterback here, and it is chalk. Cam Ward is the number 1 quarterback in this class for me, and I think that, the things that I really like about his film that I think is going to make him a really good starter in this league: special anticipation for a college quarterback. I really love his pocket presence, his natural feel for pressure, and his ability to manipulate the pocket, buy more time for himself, get outside the pocket when he needs. He has excellent playmaking instincts when he's outside the pocket as well, has some awesome plays out of structure. I really like his upper body mechanics, really rotational passer, and you look at all the top quarterbacks in the league today: Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. All of those guys are super rotational passers. Cam Ward has that ability. Now, the cons: he does have a little bit of a turnover issue. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, and sometimes he attempts throws that his arm just can't cash from an arm strength perspective, which gets him in trouble at times. Sometimes he can trust his pre-snap read a little bit too much, and he can put the ball in harm's way if the defense is rotating. And then, he's not the most accurate quarterback in the world either. He does have some inconsistent accuracy on his film as well. It's nothing crazy bad, but it is something to keep tabs on as he enters the National Football League. I have a top 10 grade on him. I think he's a top 10 pick in any draft class, including last year's. I think he would have been a top 10 pick last year. And my pro comp, I don't know how people are going to feel about this, but he really reminds me of San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. All right. And, I think some people are at home saying, Jack, this is a terrible comp. Brock Purdy stinks. Well, you take a look at Brock Purdy's career stats with the San Francisco 49ers: over 67% completion percentage, over 238 passing yards per game. The touchdown percentage is at 6% with an interception percentage at 2.5, and a quarterback rating of over 100 for his entire career at 104.9. And just to give you guys a comparison here, this is what the MVP of the league was putting up last year. The lower the completion percentage, less passing yards per game than Purdy has averaged throughout his career, a lower touchdown percentage than Purdy. The interceptions, Josh actually did a really good job limiting turnovers last year, and then his quarterback rating was actually lower last year in an MVP season than Brock Purdy has averaged throughout his time with the San Francisco 49ers in the starts that he has had. And then from a size perspective, I think people kind of feel like Brock Purdy is like super, super tiny, but Cam Ward and Brock Purdy are pretty much the same exact size. So, these are two guys that have excellent anticipation. These two guys are pretty much the same size. They're both rotational passers. They both are plus playmakers out in space. Neither of them have like the strongest arm in the world. So I really like this comp. And like Brock Purdy, I think Cam Ward, if he's put in the right situation with the right players around him, I think he could be massively successful as an NFL starting quarterback, and I have a top 10 grade on him. Number 2, this one might be a little bit surprising to some people, but I got Jalen Milroe as my number 2 quarterback in this class. Now, when I look at a guy like Milroe, I see a ton of upside, all right? He is a special rusher of the football at his size, with the 4.4 speed that he has, the jump cuts that he has on film. This guy has the potential to be the best quarterback rushing threat in the NFL from day one even. Also, the arm strength is off the charts good. Has some crazy throws down the field on his film from last season. And he's also a high character guy. He comes from a military background with his family, fantastic work ethic, academic Heisman last year, so he is intelligent. And he also finished a master's degree in 4 years while playing quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But the cons, very inconsistent accuracy. He doesn't throw with a lot of touch to any level of the field. And then timing, he can be late on his throws at times, and he's going to have to get better in the mental processing side of things, as well as the accuracy to all levels of the field if he's going to reach the massive potential that he has. My low-end comp for him is a bigger Malik Willis. Now, I do think he's a better athlete than Willis. He's also bigger. So, that's a really, really low-end comp. I think more of a mid-level comp is probably Justin Fields. They're both bigger. Neither of them really throw with a lot of touch, and both of them have mental processing concerns. So I really like the comparison between Milroe and Justin Fields. But listen, man, Milroe coming into the league here, like his high-end comp, if he develops in the way that Justin Fields maybe hasn't developed in his early years in the NFL to this point, he could be a bigger version of Lamar Jackson, all right? Like if he develops the same way Lamar did coming out of Louisville back in 2017, I mean, take a look at the stats between Milroe and Lamar Jackson coming out. Remember, Lamar went in round 1. Jalen Milroe had the better completion percentage. He had the higher yards per attempt, so he was the more efficient passer. He had a higher quarterback rating or passer rating. He had a higher big-time throw percentage and a lower turnover-worthy play percentage. So don't tell me Jalen Milroe with the proper development here can't turn into a similar type of quarterback Lamar Jackson has turned into. And then also in that 2017 class, he had better numbers than Josh Allen, who of course took some time to develop into the superstar that he has become. But Jalen Milroe, with his ability to throw that football, with the velocity that he does, with the way that he can tout the football the way that he does, if he develops in the same way, guys like Mahomes, guys like Allen, guys like Lamar, guys like Justin Herbert were able to develop heading into the National Football League, he absolutely could be somebody that turns into a superstar quarterback in the National Football League. And yes, it is a risk, okay? Like he is a high-risk type of player, but let's face it, physically limited quarterbacks are risks too. Look at Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, Josh Rosen, all right, guys with lesser traits. They have to be more perfect on the field with their footwork, with their mental processing, with their anticipation. Jalen Milroe's traits lowers the bar for what he needs to be as a passer at the NFL level to be a success. And for me, the successes that we've seen with kind of these round 1 project quarterbacks is enough for me to spend a late first-round pick on him if I'm looking for a developmental quarterback prospect in this year's draft class. Number 3, I've got Tyler Shuck out of Louisville. I have a late first round, early round 2 grade on Shuck. And there's a lot to like about Tyler Shuck's film, guys. He's got fantastic size, 6'5", 224 pounds. He's got phenomenal arm talent where he's able to throw with excellent touch. He can throw from a bunch of different arm angles. I think it's an A- in terms of his overall NFL arm strength. I think it's an above average arm for an NFL starter. He's got great deep ball accuracy. He has the best deep ball in this class, honestly, by far, in my opinion. He's got super clean mechanics, both in terms of NFL polish with his footwork and base, but also he has a super clean, hitchless release that is super repeatable, and it leads to probably the best accuracy of any quarterback in this class. Plus, he rarely takes very negative plays. He doesn't take a lot of sacks, and he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions either. But the cons, he's going to be 26 in September, so ancient for an NFL rookie quarterback. Also, he has an extensive injury history of broken bones. Before this last year at Louisville, he had 3 straight season-ending injuries with broken bones, a fibula injury, and then 2 broken collarbones. He had surgery to replace that collarbone, by the way. And then his pressure management. If you're going to say something about Tyler Shuck on film that you don't like, it's that he plays scared on film at times. A lot of throwaways, a lot of kind of boneheaded decisions to try to get rid of the football that put the ball in harm's way at times. And he likes to kind of fade away and throw off his back foot when pressure's getting in his face. Not the best pocket toughness in the world, which is kind of like a quote-unquote backup quarterback trait that could make him a career backup. But my take on Tyler Shuck, guys, is that if you're a team that is in need of a quarterback that's ready to play on day 1 in the NFL, and you're not the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward at number 1, I think Tyler Shuck's going to be your guy, all right? I think that, he operated an NFL-style offense at Louisville with a lot on his plate pre-snap. He played a lot under center where a lot of of these other quarterbacks played college-y style offenses, mostly from shotgun. Throws a great deep ball, has NFL starter traits. So if you're looking for somebody to potentially be a starter for you day one, I think that Tyler Shough is your pick in late round 1 or early round 2. In terms of the pro comps, I think his low-end comp is Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky's one of those guys that tends to fade away and throw off his back foot when pressure gets to him. But obviously he was a former first-round talent in terms of his physical pedigree. Mid-level comp, Derek Carr. Carr's another guy that hasn't traditionally handled pressure all that well throughout his career, if we're being honest, but he's got some great arm talent, a great deep ball, really good touch, very similar to Tyler Shough. And then if everything works out for Shough at the next level, I think that he could be a more athletic version of Jared Goff. That was a great deep ball, really good play action passer as well. And, Goff's the type of guy where if you put a great offensive line in front of him and a great roster around him, he can lead a team to potentially compete for a Super Bowl. So that's a high-end comp there for Shough, but I do think that is a realistic possibility, especially if he finds the right home. Then in number 4 spot here, I got Jaxson Dart with another late first, early second round grade on the quarterback out of Ole Miss. Now, Dart has a lot of things that you like about his profile. The people at Ole Miss just rave about his leadership ability. Competitive toughness is off the charts. He's the type of guy that people want to follow into battle. And if you're looking for somebody that's a bit younger and somebody with a lot of experience in college football and somebody that can really set the culture and be the leader of your locker room moving forward, the Saints come to mind with a new head coach in Kellen Moore. Jaxson Dart might be the guy that you want to get here. He also has a gunslinger mentality, not afraid to throw that ball down the field. Fantastic second level touch to layer that football above linebackers at the second level. Has some really big time throws on his film. Pretty much every game you watch, he has a couple really big time throws, and then he's generally accurate to every level of the field as well, especially to the intermediate level. But there are red flags with Jaxson Dart as well that keep him, as my number 4 quarterback in this class. He has a turnover issue at times where he's going to put that ball in the harm's way. He tends to predetermine his reads. He's pretty good as a pre-snap processor, but if there's a rotating coverage, he doesn't do a great job of confirming that post-snap. Pocket presence is not fantastic in my opinion. He's an anti-clutch performer potentially because he played his worst football in close games in the fourth quarter against higher level competition in the SEC last year. Just look at the end of the Florida game if you're wondering what I'm talking about with that. And then he played in a very college-y offense where his first read was wide open a lot, and that's just not going to be the case in the National Football League. So that kind of muddies his projection to the NFL. My low-end comp for him is Sam Howell, where, kind of gritty players, not afraid to throw the ball down the field, but overall probably potentially limited quarterback. Future backup is probably the future for Sam Howell here. The mid-level comp, I'd say, is Bo Nix. We saw a lot of people have like a round 2 grade on Bo Nix last year, and the Broncos take him with a, really good setup with a good O-line and a good play caller, and Nix looks like a franchise quarterback. So that's something that I could certainly see there with Jaxson Dart. Like Nix, he's a plus rusher of the football, sneaky good rusher of the football, stronger arm than people maybe give him credit for, but even though I think it's around league average, but very similar profile between Bo Nix and Jaxson Dart, especially with all the reps that they have taken in college football. And then if everything pans out for Jaxson Dart, and this might be underwhelming for some people, but Dak Prescott. And, Prescott's been somebody that's been a very productive quarterback in this league for a very long time. He's very accurate. He's very smart, both pre and post snap, and he's a terrific leader in that locker room for the Dallas Cowboys. And in terms of the size profile, they are pretty much exactly the same. All right, so I think that Dart compares very nicely to Dak Prescott, who is a limited starting quarterback. But if you put the right pieces around him, Prescott's shown that he can be a winning quarterback in this league, and I believe that's kind of the ceiling of where Dart is with his physical skill set. And then, of course, that leaves Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado as my number 5 quarterback, which I know will be controversial because there's a lot of people that love Shedeur Sanders and think he's going to be a franchise-level quarterback. I have a true day 2 grade on him. Round 2 or round 3 is where I would consider him. And it's not like there's nothing that's good about Shedeur Sanders' profile. He's got some really great pocket toughness. He'll take a shot while throwing the ball down the field. His touch passing to all levels of the field is pretty darn good, especially on inside fades. Pre-snap processing, pretty darn good as well. Always has his eyes in the right spot on his first read. And then the playmaking instincts and vision are okay. I would say that it's a net positive more than a net negative. But the cons, he's got limited arm strength, which is going to really raise the bar. He's going to have to be like a Tua Tagovailoa, Brock Purdy level anticipator and mental processor at the next level for him to have success. He doesn't really do that. He's one of those guys that has to see it before he throws it at this point, and that's going to have to change if he's going to be a successful starter. Also, inconsistent timing, being late, having to see his wide receiver come open makes him late a lot on film. He also drifts in the pocket. He led all of these quarterbacks that we talked about today in quarterback produced sacks last year. So he drifts into pressure a lot, and he also doesn't really know when to let a play die. He takes a lot of bad sacks trying to be a playmaker. And at the end of the day here, guys, I just think that his physical limitations, like he's not that good of an athlete. He doesn't have that strong of an arm. And then you look at his pro-ready profile, he didn't play in a pro-style offense, super college-y offense, where he played exclusively shotgun. He doesn't really throw at the anticipation. He doesn't throw a great deep ball. Like, there's a lot of things to not really love about Shadur Sanders' profile. And I still think he has a ways to go. I think he has to sit a year or at least half a season learning from a veteran here before he's going to be ready to hit the NFL field. And at the end of the day, guys, he's just going to have to be perfect in the nuances of the game in order to be a success at the National Football League level. And he's just not there right now. He's going to have to be a better mental processor post-snap. He's going to have to be better with his anticipation. He's going to have to be better with his accuracy, frankly, especially deep down the field, which is just not there right now. So, he's got starter potential, which is why I would take him on day 2 of the NFL draft. But at the end of the day, he needs to be pretty much perfect on the field because of his physical limitations, and that's going to be very difficult to do, in my opinion, especially if he has to play in year 1. My pro comp for him is Teddy Bridgewater, and listen, with Adrian Peterson and with an awesome Mike Zimmer defense, Bridgewater was a guy that was a playoff caliber quarterback as a starter in this league, and if Shadur goes to an excellent situation, like maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers, like maybe he can be a Teddy Bridgewater type, where he's a limited quarterback, but if he's not the main kind of engine of the offense, he could potentially be a starter-capable player in the National Football League. But honestly, I just don't know if I see the upside being much higher than that. So it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comment section. I gave my QB prospect rankings today. Now give me yours. Give me your top 5 or your top 10 QB list down there in the comment section, and let me know what you guys think about these top quarterback prospects. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Again, later, Tom Downey's going to have his final mock draft of the 2025 draft season for you guys to enjoy on this channel. And then tomorrow, Tom and I will be live breaking down every single pick of the 2025 NFL draft in the first round in Green Bay. So until then, guys, I'll see you there. And until then, peace out, guys.